Hello, this is the Tech Boy with YouTube Tech Rewind. This year we've had a lot of things happen in tech, and we've had devices from Apple with its iPhone 14, Samsung, this is a guy named Sam singing, and we've also had devices from Google Pixel series with the new Pixel 7 lineup with the Pixel. Yes, I know these are all random pictures off a bunch of mess. Alright, but first we have a bit of bad news. January 4th, 2022 marked the end of BlackBerry 10 devices. Let's go to Tech Odyssey to hear more.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So this is probably one of the saddest, most unfortunate videos I've ever had to make because I'm here today to talk about BlackBerry 10 phones and it's finally the end. The official end is supposed to be the 4th of January 2022, which is a couple of days.
As you may know now, it is not January 4th, 2022 anymore.
And it's one of those really, really sad things because so many times over the last decade, BlackBerry has been like a phoenix, and it's risen out of the ashes with a new device and a new strategy and a new all sorts of stuff. The story kind of ended the same pretty much every time, but it's pretty much, unfortunately, game over at this point. The only glimmer of hope we have left is some obsolete Android devices running Android 8.1, which are the BlackBerry mobile devices, the Key 1, Key 2, Key 2 LE, and the Motion, and the promise from a brand Onward Mobility that has a licensing agreement with BlackBerry and was.
Alright, thank you Tech Odyssey for telling us about thank you Tech Odyssey for telling us about BlackBerry devices and what's going on. Also we have some more bad news about the Samsung Galaxy S22 series. But just one phone in particular. So unfortunately, these devices died. Fast forwarding to S21 FE and S22, we have Juan Bagnell to talk to us about the S22 and S22 Ultra.
I really can't tell who this phone is for. These
Wow.
next two videos on my channel are going to be a little different from my normal review structure. I'm trying to tackle some philosophical ideas.
All right.
Cost
So here we go.
far too high for most consumers to walk in and buy this thing outright.
For context, the 128 gigabyte version costs $800 unlocked.
Especially in our current economy. I am not interested in talking about basic use here. It makes zero sense to try and predict average on a product priced so far outside the average buying price.
Yes, one says that the majority, quote, what he says, bread and butter devices would be $400, $500 Android devices. This $800, so that's nearly 2 times as much.
Samsung does not advertise this as a way to cover the basics for most people. They
That's their A
advertise
line.
the
That's their A
most
line.
powerful chip they've used in a
Is
phone,
at the
and
bottom
they
here.
conflate
It
that
says our
marketing
fastest processor
with the
ever.
Note 22. And then
There's no such thing as the Note 22. He calls it the Note 22, but it's also actually called the S22 Ultra.
they blur that marketing between Snapdragon and Exynos versions of their products. If you come to me and you ask me about this phone, I'm not going to treat you like a child and say, well, it's good for browsing some social media and watching some TikToks.
No, no. First of all, as a child who did record that I hate TikTok video, you can go see it. Linked on thetechboy.org. Yeah, that $50 Android phone you found on the side of the gutter can use TikTok. Okay? The powerful OnePlus 7 Pro was made for more than TikTok, and even though this thing can't use TikTok because, the cameras are broken on it. I mean, this Nokia I almost said N95. Sorry. 2017 33110 could probably run TikTok if it, connects to the internet. Rest in peace. Alright, anyway, next.
I'm going to try and describe what it's like to get $800 worth of use out of this phone. I'm going to respect that you might actually care about what an $800 phone can do that a $400 phone can't do. I've already detailed some of the issues I faced with more aggressive use and the areas where this phone struggles to keep up, not only with current competing products, but how it can also fall behind older generations of Samsungs. The nicest thing I can say about the
Oh,
phone
sorry.
is it's built well.
Thank you, guys. For now, let's fast forward on to the S22 Ultra, which has more nice words to say about, other than this. which he's going to refer to as the...
And now for part 2 of my rambling diatribe on Samsung and my look at Galaxy phones this year. Let's praise where praise is appropriate. If you haven't seen part 1 of this pair of videos, that's the downer video. I'm feeling a lot better on this video. If you're watching these reviews back to back, it's gotta be whiplash inducing, but that's what this experience has been like. For as much as I genuinely dislike the S22, the Note 22 stands as a proper productivity flagship. It's a phone for grown-ups. Notes get work done.
Alright, so let me give you the rundown on the specs. It has 2 telephoto zoom cameras, an S Pen, wireless charging, and a 6.8-inch screen. Curved edge, of course.
I'm purposely sticking to the name Note. There is nothing S about this phone. The display is different. The camera sensors are different. The design and the camera housings are different. There's a different approach to performance and power. There's a built-in S Pen silo. I do not care what games Samsung wants to play here. There is no ultra premium Galaxy S this year. There's only a Note 22. Because that's what bothers me about this terrible branding exercise. If you watch an S22 Ultra video and you believe Samsung marketing, you might think the S22 and S22 Plus are similar, and they aren't. Or if you try an S22, fine point always being available so long
I have
as
that app
my
on my phone,
in
by the way.
pocket. And it's
It's
thanks to
interesting
phones
that we
like
use
the
the same
Note,
thing.
I've completely
It's
given
called
up on
SketchUp. It's
proper
free on
computers
mobile.
for things like documents and contracts. I'm gonna get the PDF on my phone first, and I'm going to be able to sign it and return it faster than I can get to my PC or open up a laptop. Jotting out notes, highlighting text, all the fun screenshot options. I got close on the V60 and Duo 2, but
LG
Samsung has
V60, by the way.
refined the single concept longer than any other competitor. Combine that productivity with the best screen Samsung sells on a phone, we can
120
mix
hertz, by
those
the way.
work
It's
and
nice.
play situations
I haven't used it,
on
but I'm saying
one
120
gadget.
hertz.
And that gadget actually rises to the occasion of using a more powerful SoC, performing better for longer. It just feels good seeing Samsung can still make a unique slate phone. Where Galaxy
Alright, so some nice words of appreciation of the S22 or Note 22 Ultra by the Juan Bagno of Some Gadget Guy. Please subscribe to his channel and, of course, Tech Odyssey. Alright, now we're going to Mr. Who's the Boss. For those of you that want something more upbeat, more action, more excitement. Alright, let's just wait for this video to load.
$10,000 in the next 200 seconds, ordering the most impossibly thin tech on the entire planet.
Alright, here you go.
Okay, I mean, how thin do cameras get? Well, it's definitely not you. Wait, a paper camera? What? This is gonna be saucy. Okay, thinnest tablet in the world. The Remarkable 2. They're only $299. Okay, $399 when you don't get their subscription. No, I just said I didn't want the subscription. Yes, I'm sure. Okay, you have to buy the pen separately, $129. The cover is $119. Oh, you cheeky little... That actually just becomes...
Oh, you cheeky little...
charger for it. Well, would you look at that? The size of a credit card. You will do just fine. Slimmest earphones in the world. The slimmest printer in the world.
Alright,
so one of the things I normally try and do when I'm ordering is thick. That's less than 2 centimeters. There's the Razer Book, which is actually 15 millimeters. I think we got our answer. The Acer Swift 7 is...
Keep moving.
Ah, it's not for sale. How convenient. So I think this is the slimmest speaker that you can buy. It's apparently as thin as your phone. And this is even thinner because it's not actually a speaker in itself, but it can turn...
By the way, I found out about that speaker I tested from him. So, thank you, Mr. Who's the Boss, for telling me about this speaker in an indirect way, getting me a free speaker and making the Tech Boy $30. Alright, next. I sped him back up to regular speed.
Turn anything you stick it onto into a speaker. Okay, someone take this laptop away from me. Right, 2 months later, and it's time to unbox it all. So let's start thin.
Oh, this is mostly played, so we're going to just go here. Here we go. This is in the middle of the video, so it's kind of...
You know, I would genuinely say that testing new speakers is one of my favorite things ever to do. And that pleasure is never greater than when you're testing a record-breaking one. This Lenovo 700 is just 1.1
Lenovo 700,
thick.
1.1 centimeters. Which is about 1,000 millimeters?
Okey-dokey.
I think. I mean, no, sorry, 100. I know math.
That is
good.
unbelievable. How is that going to sound?
Alright.
Because normally for proper bass, you need physical depth for the speaker to be able to like push air. I think this is smaller than my phone.
Wow.
The
Well,
speaker's
the phone's
so
in a case.
thin,
The phone's in a
the
case.
sound is so fat. Especially when you factor in that they've also apparently squeezed an 8-hour battery life into this.
Nice.
Oh, but we can actually get
Only you
even
can charge your phone
thinner
off of that.
audio.
Alright, here's the
And to
Blade
get this
speaker that I
thin, we're having
tested.
to use a completely
Full
different
review on
technology.
TheTechBoy.org and
This
on the
is
TechBoy YouTube
Blade.
channel.
It's not a speaker in of itself, but you can place Blade onto anything, and I mean anything, to turn that device into a speaker.
Alright, you can check out the review on my website. Alright, and now for the part you've all been waiting for. 3D print. Ah, here it is. The 3D screen that is, well, obviously it's 3D, but it's about as thin as a piece of paper.
3D printed clip. Alright, so, just before the thinnest thing in this entire video, I've got something pretty mind-blowing to show you. You know how we had that thinnest espresso display? Well, that is nothing.
This is
compared to what
basically a
Royol
phone
has come up
without,
with.
you know, all the hardware
Display connectors
in it, so you can't make calls. But it's a tablet, essentially. He's adding the power supply
really
for the battery.
Lego. And then, if we had a power
Then he adds a micro USB port.
Oh my
Boom.
god.
It's basically a testing kit to show people, hey, look, we made a folding screen. Come develop some applications for us or something like that. But man, that's interesting looking.
I genuinely think this is the coolest piece of tech I've ever held in my hands. What you're looking at right now is a
That looks
fully
like
functional
Android
device
8,
that's
9?
barely thicker than a piece of paper. And it is completely flexible. This is basically a development kit. It's Royol saying to other companies, look at our screen. Look how versatile it is. Look how bright and beautiful it is. Look how thin it is. These screens already exist on some foldable phones that you might have already seen, but it's just being able to hold the display on its own and use it as a standalone device, it kind of just opens you up to what's potentially possible. Oh, let's see if we can make a call. Actually, where am I going to fit a SIM card
is there
in
a
on
SIM
that?
card in there?
I sound like a broken record at this point.
Alright, thank you, Mr. Who's the Boss, for that very interesting and upbeat video. I'm gonna let you play in here while I
Starting
go
at
load
9
the next video.
centimeters. You know that custom PC I was talking about? We got it. And you're actually looking at it right now. So basically, I found this company called Novatech, and they have a sub-brand.
It looks like there's no video right now because we're in the month of April or June, and nothing launched, and you know nothing important happened in those months, and you know no phones were invented. No, not the no phone, just like nothing was invented, nothing was released, and nothing was developed. I mean, it was just a bunch of nothing, and you should go definitely not buy a nothing phone because it doesn't exist. Nothing. Alright, but thank you to Nothing But Tech for bringing us a real, not fake budget phone called iPhone SE, made by Apple. $429, remember that price for the next phone that's coming up on the list, the Google Pixel 6a.
Improvements over last generation.
Alright, first of all, I like that you called it the iPhone SE 2022 edition instead of the iPhone SE 3, because that's what Apple calls it. Just like Apple called the iPhone X the iPhone 10, but no one called it that. But iPhone SE 2022, that's the actual name.
Here's my review.
Alright, let's go into the review.
Usually with reviews,
She changed
I'll
the logo
mention
every
the price
month.
at like the midpoint or the end of the review, but I think for the SE, it's super important that we mention it right out of the gate. So it's a
$429 for 64.
$429 starting price.
Starting price, so it has 5G antennas in it, and it also has 64 gigabytes of base storage, so that's what the starting price is.
That makes it Apple's cheapest new iPhone by a large margin. The next closest thing is a 13 mini at $700. And the reason why they're able to make it this affordable is because it's using the same casing as the iPhone 8. So it still
From
has
2017.
the big bezels, Touch ID, the 4.7-inch display, the one camera on the back.
Alright,
it's a very
speaking of the
familiar
display,
design. Okay,
here you go.
check number 1. The phone is at 98% battery life. I'm getting a little bit of a late start to the day, so I'm gonna eat a quick breakfast and watch some YouTube videos.
But tell me, does
on
that screen
display,
look
which is
good?
really not that high resolution or that bright. So outdoor use, depending on how sunny it is, can be a little
For context, the
frustrating. And if
iPhone
you're looking for
14
the
Pro
pixels,
gets
you will
to
see them.
200
and so
nits
initially I was kind of
in
bummed out about the
bright
display,
sunlight.
but then I had to remember it's $429. The displays that I was comparing it to mentally in my mind were phones that were $1,000, right? The iPhone
18 Plus?
13, the newest Samsung
13
phones. And so
Ultra.
a phone that's like half the price is obviously going to have a worse
Bit
display.
more than half the
That
price,
isn't to say
actually.
that other budget phones don't have better displays. They definitely do.
Right.
Which brings us to the second theme in this video, and that's that some features
Performance.
with the 2017
Alright, here we
S,
go.
where they're so behind the competition.
Yep,
Like, there
no
are Poco
big
phones that
screen,
have high
no
refresh
triple
rate, big
camera, but some
displays.
triple camera
This
systems
phone
are just
does
there
not.
for
But
money
this phone
upload.
has the A15 Bionic, which enables two things. The first thing is that right now in this present moment, it is fast. It is benchmarking the same as the iPhone 13, Apple's premium flagship, and gaming, emailing, Instagram, keeping multiple things open, all of it's great. But
The only other phone that has a premium chip in a sub $500 body and that's available here in the United States would be the Pixel 6a, which we'll get to next.
Also means that this phone is going to be great for a long time, right? The longevity of this phone is huge. Not only because Apple is really good with software updates, like they often update phones for years, but because the processor has so much
Yeah, it's probably going
headspace
to get
to kind
5
of
or 6
grow,
years of
like it's
software
definitely
updates.
not getting fully utilized here. And so as time goes on, this phone will continue to be fast and well optimized. And so that makes it a more appealing option versus like the Pixel 5a, which is only guaranteed software updates until 2024. With Apple's track record, I think that it would be safe to say that this phone could definitely be supported for much longer than that.
Alright. Thank you, MBT, for this review, Nothing But Tech. Remember to subscribe to our channel, and while I'm loading the next video, let's talk about the camera.
Okay, camera. This is actually an area that is underwhelming. So this is like the 2017 vibes. The camera is one of them. I think for normal pictures, it's actually pretty good. You get some decent lighting in there. You just want to snap a standard shot. It looks really good, right? It looks like an iPhone 8 photo. But try to
Oh man, that zoom is awful. Alright, and now to MKBHD for the Pixel 6a, which had absolutely no controversy surrounding it whatsoever.
Hey, what's up? MKBHD here, and this is Google's new budget phone, the Pixel 6a. We knew this was coming. I've had my hands on this phone for a little over a week now, and I have my thoughts sort of summarized into one major thought, which is there's a lot of competition in this budget phone space now, and this phone isn't the obvious hands-down winner that it might have once been. But
alright, that's the intro. Now let's move on to okay, I can give you the design. We don't need to listen to him talk about it. But the design, very Pixel 6esque. That's what he says about it. It has the same 12 megapixel camera from the Pixel 5 and Pixel 4 that the Pixel 3 had, that the Pixel 2 had, which gives it good software updates, make the camera good. So there we go. Alright, let's talk about the display, because NBT was saying that the display on the on the iPhone SE wasn't as good as some of its other compatriots. Let's see if this.
Other thing to note. But really around the front here is where the Pixel 6a actually most reflects its price.
Right.
So we've got a 6.1 inch flat 1080p OLED display at 60 Hz with a top center hole punch and
just
an
like
in-display fingerprint reader. Visual.
Alright, so for $20 more, $449, this phone looks a lot more modern than the iPhone SE 2022. But it does have a slower fingerprint scanner.
Visually, it's an okay display. It's decently sharp with good color, and it gets bright enough to support HDR and not totally suck outdoors. But also, it has some pretty serious off-axis rainbowing, and the auto brightness is a little finicky, and the fingerprint reader is definitely slow. It's on the slow side, just like it was on the Pixel 6.
Alright, so that is an optical fingerprint sensor, not ultrasonic like you may find on some of Samsung's flagships. Alright, let's move on. You still looks at the display. Software, stock Android. Really good Android 12. Alright, let's talk about the cameras. That's what people really like Pixels for. So let's talk about
the
that.
6 Pro. Instead, it has a downgraded 12 megapixel camera setup for both the standard and the ultra wide, which might look disappointing on paper, but this is the old Sony IMX363 sensor, which some of you nerds will already recognize is the same exact sensor that was in the Pixel 5 and the same that was in the Pixel 4 and the Pixel 3 and the Pixel 2. In other words, this is an older, smaller, lower resolution sensor,
here's some
but
camera
it is
samples.
also absolutely... The colors are on point too, not too much over-processing happening, and there is not too much fringing at the edges either with close-up subjects, and the dynamic range and how it handles highlights is A+. So, I mean, it's easy to see why they stuck with this for so long, and the fact is, this is still easily a top 2 budget smartphone camera. Easy. It also has the ultra-wide that the iPhone SE doesn't have,
nice.
And it takes decent-looking 4K videos up to 60 FPS. These cameras are like pizza. Sure, they're not super new and groundbreaking. There's nothing that would impress you about them on paper, but they get the job done in a design that you can dress up like a Ninja Turtle if you get the right
D-brand skin.
skins.
Yeah, we don't really like D-brand. Alright, and thank you. So we're going to just move on from him to the conclusion video. And while we're doing that, to his conclusion.
It's probably the most interesting when you consider
Mobile to talk
the
about the
competitors,
OnePlus 10 Pro.
the other phones that you could get for $4.
Alright, here we go, Mr. Mobile. Mr. Mobile, please let us...
Equivocation. This, but also that. A, but also B. This is
Sounds
the
like he's doing
dilemma
algebra.
that will occupy this YouTuber, this human, long after Mr. Mobile has posted his last video. And the biggest aggravator of this indecision condition of mine, the phone maker that's made it the hardest to make a choice, is OnePlus. This is the 10 Pro. I'm Michael Fisher, and I think we're both a little lost.
Alright, let's talk about the video performance of the OnePlus 10 Pro.
OnePlus had a big opportunity here to really surge ahead if it got the
This
video
video
side
was shot
right.
on OnePlus 10
It
Pro,
made the
4K.
decision to
According to
export
the,
that video in the Rec
in the Rec
20
20 color space,
which,
unconverted.
for me, was just a very frustrating and confusing decision.
My friend Danny Winget helped me describe why Rec 2020 makes handling video from a phone more challenging back in my review of the OnePlus
dang.
7T. And
The color correction
company
on
actually
that
seemed
looks
to
good,
take that
but
note.
then, man,
Last year's
Rec
9 Pro
2020
delivered
looks
video
awful.
in the more common Rec 709 color space, which I counted as a great
Everyone's
victory.
face looks red.
When I asked OnePlus why it backslid on this, the company said it was because it knows users will continue to use a wider color gamut that has more vivid and natural colors. Sure, for the 0.01% of users editing professionally in an HDR timeline, that's true. But for everyone else, downloading videos from Google Photos or even pulling them right off the phone, they'll get this. Unnatural saturation that gives folks with flesh tones like mine a permanent digital sunburn and makes the sky look like it was painted by a watercolor marker.
Alright, so we can tell that he does not like the OnePlus 10 Pro's video performance, but the OnePlus 10 Pro has some other benefits. Let's see what it has. And the credit where it's due for a second.
The fact is, OnePlus seems to have finally listened to feedback in some important ways. So let's start out by giving it some credit there.
A new thermal management system keeps the Snapdragon 8 processor performant even for long stretches of 4K videography, or, according to Nick Gray on the Pocket Now Weekly podcast, extended gaming. The weight distribution has been reworked so the phone sits more evenly in a hand, while the optical fingerprint sensor got moved up a few millimeters, so it's even easier to unlock than its predecessor. And those revised haptics work with the new animations and even sound effects to give those unlocks just a touch of whimsy.
Nice.
That sense of attitude
I like that sound
is
effect.
something OnePlus software has always projected, but unfortunately the recent commingling of OnePlus and its sister brand Oppo has really taken the edge off of that attitude. Kind of like the former punk who takes an office job but still wears fun socks. I mean, the window dressing is still here. For example, you can use this visual representation of your screen time as an always-on display, to make sure your digital shame stays intact. The OnePlus Shelf is still here with its specialized widgets, though it's annoyingly placed behind an upper right drop-down swipe now, in a possible bid to appeal to iPhone users. I was really excited about the work and life modes because they could be great if they were smart, but in practice, they're blunt instruments that separate the two sides with old-fashioned mollycoddling pop-ups that annoy more than they assist. At least the alert slider is still here. As I've been saying since my first Palm Trio circa 2005, it's the best way to silence a phone in a hurry. And the display is probably the best part of the phone's hardware. Its 1300 nit peak brightness has defeated every potentially debilitating spring sunblast to which I've subjected it. Its variable refresh rate is refreshingly smooth. And OnePlus says it's got better color calibration at lower light levels, but honestly, I didn't really notice a difference. It's the same as last year, as is the 3.3x telephoto. The only hardware change was to the wide angle, where a new 50-megapixel Samsung JN1 makes it possible to capture 150-degree fisheye photos.
Nice. That's really nice. I wonder why Samsung hasn't put that in their own phones. Please tell me in the comments if you wonder why. And we're just gonna go on to the Hasselblad comparison. Got the OnePlus 7 Pro right here.
Realized the dubious pledge that its high-profile camera partner would one day have input into the hardware. But at least the X-Pan mode is here, for those situations where nothing but a vintage 24x65mm pseudo-panoramic photo will do. And honestly, shooting in this mode brings me much of the same poser joy as that Leica phone did last December.
Nice. Alright, so we're just gonna let this keep playing on while I pull up the next video.
After ages of merely adequate OnePlus cameras, I was surprised to discover when reviewing the photos that in some situations I preferred the 10 Pro's shots to those of the Google Pixel.
Alright, here we go. Hello. Oh no, not another ad. Alright. It's loading. Can't even drive yet. Skip. Alright, just a 9
Hey,
minute
what's up,
video.
guys? It's me, Pratima, and today I will be talking about the OnePlus 10T. I know I
Alright.
am a bit late for this video, but I really wanted to take some time and collect my thoughts on what I really think about this phone. I and my team have used it for around a month, and during all that time, I also watched a lot of other reviews of this device. And I found that majority of the reviewers did not have particularly positive things to say about it.
Alright, let's go on to the design. See, he
It's
likes the
like
phone, by the
if
way.
the OnePlus 10 Pro and the Nord 2T had a baby, it would look something like the OnePlus 10T.
That's interesting. I would say that the OnePlus 10 Pro looks more like the OnePlus 10. I mean, 10T looks more like the 10 Pro than the 2T, but I mean, it's not using as high quality as a camera sensor than the 2T, so I can see that.
Here,
I mean,
the camera
sorry, the
module
10
and
Pro.
the overall heft resemble the OnePlus 10 Pro, while you get the same not so premium feel as the OnePlus Nord 2T. On top of that, they also got rid of the one thing that made their designs different from others,
Slider.
the alert slider. And their justification for that was just ridiculous. No one in the tech world is happy about.
Yep, no one liked it, but as a Samsung user going to another Samsung phone, I would say it's okay. I mean, I don't really care about it, but I think it's a loss of a useful feature, which is always sad, just like the loss of the micro SD card slot. Right, software and UI is the same, but you know this phone's really built for the performance in gaming. So instead of going through the camera's not as good because they only record like 4 minutes about it in the presentation, and they actually cared more about the reception and signal, which I think is nice. This is good on to the thing that the phone was built for performance in gaming.
Alright, on a different note, there are aspects that OnePlus has done well on the OnePlus 10T, starting with the performance side of things. The OnePlus 10T comes with the best chipset Android has to offer right now, the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, and as you would expect, it is really powerful. In all my time with this phone, I played a lot of games, and the phone's power and thermal capacities have really impressed me.
Right here, the
IFT,
stats.
Asphalt, etc. run very well in their highest settings.
Right, these stats look. Oh no, there's a fly. Anyway, these stats look really good. It's not using more than 20% of the CPU, and it has great FPS stability, which I guess means the frames per second don't drop as much. I'm not a gamer, but I can read. All right, got a fly. All right, I'm just gonna let this play out
As you
while
can
I
see from
bring up
this
the next
graph, the
tech
FPS
YouTuber, Jerry Rig
stability and
Everything,
thermal
to talk
performance in
about the
such
OnePlus 10 Pro's unfortunate issue. Right, here you go.
The OnePlus 10 Pro. Now, normally OnePlus releases their phone to everyone at the same time, but this year that's not the case. This phone is not available here in the United States. Makes you wonder if something's up. So today we are going to durability test this OnePlus phone to see if there's anything we need to find out.
All right, let's
And
see.
even though this is
Ready,
not a
set,
Hummer
go.
video, damage this guy will
All right.
sustain. This is called foreshadowing. Silence. With the fingerprint registered, we can add some level 7 deeper grooves to the bottom half of the screen, right above that optical reader. Even with that hefty marring though, the fingerprint reader is still able to find my print and unlock the phone every single time.
Right.
Nice work on that scanner, OnePlus. Thumbs up.
Right, next.
Frosted glass, that's what's making the phone weaker though, since we've had plenty of frosted textured glass phones survive. And they survive in one piece instead of millions.
All right, here we
Phone
go.
as a whole, as I always do with the bin test.
He's about
If
to
you ever
bend
hear
it.
noises during this portion of the video, it's usually a bad thing.
Oh! No! No!
And
No!
none of those were good noises.
The phone broke. So now we have the world's first ever OnePlus curved edge phone with the about 80%
The volcanic
screen to body
black
ratio.
frosted back.
80% because the bezels, the whole bunch of camera, and the burnt OLED in the screen that doesn't work anymore. Shameful. But some people don't think about this is supposed to be conducive to like you sitting on the phone and it cracking. But some people like Tech Odyssey don't think that it cracking in half is a good thing. I mean, obviously, but is that big of a deal? All right, now it's time for the phone that you've all been waiting for, the phone that you've been clamoring for, that you've been thinking about. It is time for the Google Pixel. Right, fine. Everyone knows that like only 3% of people actually care about the Pixel. But while we wait for this to load up, we'll let this keep playing.
look has been thoroughly
If I
cracked.
care about it, I mean like
The
I just want
cracks
to buy it, not like
consolidate
interest.
into what looks like a line directly underneath the stovetop camera bump. I don't think it's the frosted glass that's what's making the phone weaker though, since we've had plenty of frosted textured glass phones survive. And they survive in one piece instead of millions.
Here
I
we
think
go.
it's something else.
Hi Dave. This is the Pixel 7 Pro review.
These Pixel 7 devices, they're surprisingly good this year. I'd go so far as to argue that these are probably the best Android phones you can get on the market. And it's not
That's a
just
nice
like
looking studio.
specs and benchmarks that
You
these
got
bumps
nice
up in.
lights,
It's just
lots
real
of
improvement, just real usability that makes these
big
special.
areas. I
So
think it's
the
nice.
colors I have here are the Pixel 7 in lemongrass and the Pixel 7 Pro in hazel. Now this device with its polished aluminum seems to scratch quite easily. So I've purposely kept this thing away from keys or anything that could scratch either the screen or the back glass or this metal area. But I've picked up 3 or 4 distinct like cuts in that material, and it kind of makes sense. It is aluminum.
It's aluminum, yeah. I was gonna say I like the green color better than the lemongrass, by the way.
Aluminum. It's not the hardest metal, but I did find it a little bit disappointing that this is like a week and a half old and it's already got nicks in it. So if you care about this stuff, you're gonna have to protect it with a case or something, like a skin or something, because I think over time this is gonna scratch heavily for most people unless you protect it. Now in terms of the sizing, the Pixel 7 is actually a little bit smaller this year than the Pixel 6 from last year. It's got a slightly smaller screen, the bezels are a little bit thinner, and the device is ever so slightly easier to hold because it's just fractionally more compact, but it's still a relatively large phone.
I like
But
nice white
if you compare like
displays.
the 7 Pro, this is a big boy phone, like a real big boy phone. And this is almost identical in footprint to the Pixel 6 Pro.
Alright, next
It's the same
next
main
one.
shooter as
We got the cameras here. I'm not gonna go all the way through this review. I'm just gonna show you some benchmarks and moves on. But we got the cameras here, and the cameras are pretty good. You know, it's a pixel camera. You have a 48 megapixel 5x telephoto, which I think is nice because also higher
the 6 Pro from
megapixels.
last year. The 7 gets the updated ultra
Right,
wide.
here we go.
Works reasonably well in Canada. It's
Good
not
voice
as good as it is in
typing.
the States. But overall,
He also did
the
a
kind
test
of
with.
unique Pixel features are just better this year because of that new chip.
Here
Now,
we go.
performance on that G2 is
I like this. I mean, I've seen some videos saying, "Oh no, the benchmarks aren't really good for the Pixel." But I mean, if you see here, the Pixel is beating the Tensor G1, and it's also beating the it's beating the Tensor G1, and it's AI features that just other phones can't do or don't have, or the driving function. And it even edited the video faster than the OnePlus, Xiaomi 12T, which was running the Snapdragon Generation 888 or Gen 1, one of them, and one of Juan Bagnall's tests. Alright, oh, and let me show you this test call feature. I think it's really interesting.
really cool,
While I put up the
clear
next
calling
video.
feature that is very good. The bathroom is probably where I do my deepest and most creative thinking.
The bathroom is probably where I do my deepest and most creative thinking. The bathroom is probably where I do my deepest.
Do you hear the? You can hear the water in the background, but with the Pixel you can't. So it's using AI to filter out the call. So now, to filter out the water. Alright, now, let's bring Apple's #1 fan, iJustine, to talk. And my headset
Hey
down?
guys, it's Justine,
Oh,
and
good.
today we are unboxing all of the iPhone 14s. We have the new iPhone 14 Pro Max in the purple,
she's frozen.
the iPhone 14 Pro in the space black, and the iPhone 14 in this beautiful blue color. We don't have
Alright,
the
we
plus
don't want to see a unboxing. We want to see a review.
as the iPhone 14. Very similar colors. Yeah, so here's the 12 Pro Max blue. That matches.
Here we go. Action mode.
Shocking. I mean, even the one that's not in action mode is still pretty steady. But when you compare that to action mode, like, I was running really fast. Also, something that was kind of cool is even at the beginning where I asked Jake a question and he moved the phones, the action mode one didn't even move at all. Now, most of the time you're not going to be running around full speed chasing people. So what is a more real world scenario when you would use action mode? Maybe just walking around, vlogging, filming. So now one of these is recording in action mode, which is this one right here, and the other is recording in 1x, which would
Look
be
at the camera
equivalent
lens
to
flare on
the
there.
crop. Now this is more of a normal, I feel like, everyday scenario. Walking around, talking, vlogging, and then if I were to take the camera off of you, Jake, this is what it would look like. There's my friends back there. Here we are. What if I jump? What if I spin around in
That
circles?
wasn't a jump,
I don't know.
wasn't it? Alright, so I'm gonna.
The new iPhone 14.
Wait, I'm getting a call. Hello? Wait. You mean to tell me that the iPhone 14's emergency SOS activates when there's not actually a. Wait. Let me get. Hello? Wait. You mean you're not dead? You mean the emergency SOS, didn't actually kill you? Oh, okay. Let me text my mom. I have to tell her that Robert's not dead. Oh, wait. I'm getting a call. Hi, Dad. What do you mean? There's no SIM card slot? What? Alright, I'll come over in like 20 minutes. Oh no, there's no like SIM card slot. I need to leave the TechBoy studio and come home to help him install it. Hello? No, he's not dead. He's not dead. Alright, fine. This piece of junk. I just, we're gonna torture this iPhone. Teach it a lesson. Here we go. There probably won't be ads on here. Seriously? Oh. Really? An ad on your own video? That's shameful.
Mouse.
Yeah, we're about to throw this iPhone.
This train is so much higher than the last one. We've got an iPhone 14 in a mouse case, and we're going to drop it whilst bungee jumping. 3, 2, 1, go!
Yeah, that's what we do. The phones without SIM card slots. Yeah. Piece of junk. Well, that's what we do. The phones without SIM card slots and accidentally call emergency services, unlike Pixels, who have had better performance with the emergency. Yeah. Alright. Oh, no. I almost forgot another phone again. Alright. The Z Flip review from Haley's World, who is in South Africa. Here we go. I'm just going to let her show some fun tricks and tips you can do with your brand new folding device. Here's the video loads.
This is the Samsung Galaxy Fold 4, the best folding phone in the world right now. So let's go through some tips, tricks, and hidden features, starting with tablet cameras.
Here we go, camera.
So get this, the Fold 4 now comes with a massive 50 megapixel main camera. That's a pretty big update from the 12 megapixel camera that we had on the Fold 4. And to use all 50 of those beautiful megapixels, you can just head into the aspect ratio settings and select the 3x4 50 megapixel option.
Alright, next.
Phone into a mini laptop. The keyboard sits in the perfect position for typing, but you can also connect a Bluetooth mouse and use it on this phone just like you would with a laptop. You can scroll, select open apps or files, and then even connect an SSD drive to your phone. Once you plug it in, it'll instantly show up in files, and again, you can surf your SSD drive just like you would on a laptop, except on your folding phone. Chosen. So as you can see here, all the native Samsung app colors have changed. Unfortunately, we can't choose a specific color just yet, but I think with that new update we'll be able to. But for now, you can still get a pretty slick styled looking wallpaper setup with this customization.
Alright, now that all the major phones have been released, yes, even nothing. Nothing's been released. We need
Pro Max Deep Dive Speed Test. And don't forget to check out the video description and pinned comment if you want to see everything I did to make this as fair of a test as possible. Okay. Let's start with the app test.
He's just going to open some apps and see which one's faster. Alright, I'm going to fast forward to the end because I've seen this. Alright, here we go. The score is 11-8. And he's opening Adobe Premiere Rush. 12-8. Right, here you go. Adobe Premiere Rush is Adobe's video editing application. Man, the OLED screen on that Samsung looked good. I'm just gonna say, with the Plex Blacks, the one on the iPhone looked kind of gray. Oh man, that's kind of slow. Whatever application that is. Oh, Pinterest. Okay. Dropbox. Oh man. Alright, so you can see that the iPhone is beating the Samsung right now, but let's see, let's do a RAM test. Alright, it's going to test to see how many reloads you have. Alright, it's going to be so infuriating at the end. Alright, here we go. No reloads. You want less reloads, by the way. Bible app. The most important app on your phone. Oh, okay, I saw that one. So Lutron is a smart home app. Oh man, I forgot to add the smart home solver in here. Oh well. Alright, looks like Samsung's gonna win this application test. Mario Run. Instagram. Calendar. Gmail. No, Samsung. Alright, internet. And at the end, Samsung just gives up its lead. But let's see what happens to video editing. Here we go. In Adobe Premiere Rush. Let's see what happens to the video editing results with the $1,800
Video
timer.
editing. This is where the iPhone has dominated Samsung phones for years. For this test, I'm using Adobe Rush with 4K 30 frame per second footage directly from my Panasonic GH5S, and I have the same color effect applied on both
So he didn't
phones.
film these from the camera. Here you go. He's speeding it up, by the way. If this was the actual rendering speed, whew!
This has to be the most
won.
surprising test I've seen. For the first time ever, Samsung's phone is faster at exporting a video than the iPhone. I thought something was wrong with the test, so I ran it again and got the same results.
Same results, Samsung wins.
Then I ran it with 4K 60 frame per second footage filmed with the S22 Ultra, and the S22 Ultra won by an even larger margin. Then I tried with a 4K 30 frame per second high efficiency video codec video filmed with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and finally the iPhone took a pretty commanding win. To round this test out, I tried exporting some 1080p videos and even down converting 4K videos to 1080p, and here's where the iPhone really shined and crushed the S22 Ultra in the export speeds.
Nice.
So which device is the fastest? Well, it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, alright, so Samsung has more RAM than Apple, but just at the end, it unfortunately died. And speaking of unfortunate, this is the end of the TechBoy Tech Rewind. Tell us if you want to see us do this again. Hopefully this worked. If it didn't, I'm going to be so mad.